Good afternoon, madam. My name is Samisoni Leoningila, ID number S11231901. Today, I'll be talking about topic cultural influence on identity. I was not able to find a group, so I just did it on my own. Managed to finish it, so apologies for that, madam. Let me begin. The dynamic interplay cultural place and well-being is central to understanding how Pacific peoples navigate identity within indigenous homelands and diasporic communities. This essay examines how these negotiations sustains cultural continuity and directly impacts psychological and social well-being in the face of migration and colonialism. I managed to research the 5 core readings and summarize it. So to begin with, the first core readings relate the role of ethnic identity and mitigating the harmful effects of discrimination on psychological well-being. Given the importance of studying ethnic identity, acculturation, and cultural orientation research and scholarship on this phenomenon is rapidly increasing. Moreover, there is groundswell of interest in the relationship between ethnic identity and well-being. This relationship is particularly significant for Pacific peoples in New Zealand, for whom ethnic identity may be a very salient feature of individuals' self-concepts. In this paper, we thus focus on ethnic identity construct and its relationship with well-being across the sectors of education, justice, religious, centrality, and mental health, and its other possible applications. It ends with a call for ethnic enhancement, which is new programs which focus on the impacts of colonialism, Christianity, and neoliberalism on Pacific peoples and nations. To bolster existing cultural enhancement, which is existing programs which focus on Pacific culture, language, music, performance and dance only, for optional well-being outcomes for our Pacific youth. More significantly, based on our own studies of construct of Pacific ethnic identity in New Zealand, this paper reviews, identifies, and analyzes current quantitative and qualitative constructs and finding and offer new directions for future research. Second core readings, which are summarized based on ethnic identity as a protective and involving factor in well-being against discrimination and colonialism. Colonialism, modernity, and migration have impacted indigenous peoples globally. Of particular interest is how identity formation of indigenous peoples are affected through these events. These articles explore the life narratives of 20 Pacific Islanders and their perceptions of identity. Through Talanoa, which is culturally appropriate conversation, a deeper understanding of how Pacific Island people navigate, use, build, and reshape their identities was established. The findings showed that although all the participants acknowledged the effects of colonialism migration, and Western social expectations. The Pacific culturalism was central to their identity formation. Furthermore, participants expressed that without an understanding of who they were as Pacific Islanders, they would inevitably internalize negative perceptions. Interestingly, all the participants in the study also spoke of the complex intersection and hybrid notions of identity they embodied, as opposed to a traditional single presentation of self. This study provides a snapshot of an ever re-unfolding Pacific story still being written. This research compared how Maori in New Zealand and Hawaii derive meaning from their cultural identities, while the New Zealand participants found meaning through communal ties and homeland connections amidst being a minority. Those in Hawaii experienced their Maori identity as more individually significant within a culturally plural society. The third core readings based on reclaiming cultural space, which is Whaikawa as a vital practice for identity, language, and well-being in the diaspora. Both previous research and anecdotal evidence have found the commonplace activity of kava drinking be a recreational activity for older males and a complete waste of time. This paper presents a summary of my master's research and exploratory study of the experience and perceptions of a group of New Zealand-born Tongan males living in Auckland and their participation in the Tongan cultural practice known as the Whaikawa. Furthermore, it is hoped that their lived experience of the Whaikawa and how they valued this cultural practice generate reinforced feelings of identity and security for other New Zealand-born Tongan males today and in the future. A methodological framework combining phenomenology and Talanoa was employed. 12 members of Whaikawa clubs in the Auckland region were selected as research participants. The clubs they belonged to were mainly linked to churches, villages, and old boys associations. The Talanoa was conducted in Tongan and English and was recorded. Findings suggest that Whaikawa plays a significant role in teaching, reinforcing, and maintaining the Tongan culture and language for this group. Moreover, they referred to the Whaikawa environment as a cultural classroom in which debates, songs and music rejuvenated and maintained Tongan culture and language. It can be said that the Whaikawa is valued as an identity marker for New Zealand-born Tongan males in Auckland, New Zealand. The fourth core readings based on cultural grounding as a path to well-being. Given the importance of studying ethnicity, ethnic identity, acculturation, and cultural orientation research and scholarship on this phenomenon is rapidly increasing. Moreover, this is a groundswell of interest in the relationship between ethnic identity and well-being. This relationship particularly significant for Pacific peoples in New Zealand, for whom ethnic identity may be a very salient feature of individuals' self-concept. During the 1990s, there has been some attention focused on health and well-being among Pacific Islands ethnic groups in New Zealand. The purpose of the present paper is to identify two processes that seems to have been underrepresented in description of social and cultural change among Pacific Islands groups in New Zealand, and which are likely to be related to health and well-being. These processes include the emergence of distinctive Pacific New Zealand bicultural adaptation strategies among some Pacific Islands families in New Zealand, and emerging evidence regarding the links among cultural competence, a secure cultural identity, and health and well-being. Within New Zealand, the context for examination of processes related to culturation and patterns of identity is seen as transition away from a dominant ethos of assimilation towards non-dominant ethnic groups, to more pluralistic attitudes that provide spaces for and recognition of distinctive identities, lifestyle, and styles of communication. The fifth co-readings, which is the final, based on negotiating identity, indignity, the interplay of space, place, and well-being for Pacific peoples in a transnational context. What does it mean to be indigenous? Is indignity a matter of physical space, or is it cognitive cultural space, or both? How do islanders negotiate indignity in a time of transnational and inter-Queensland migration and cultural conflict? I examine this and related issues through lens of recent events in the Solomon Islands, including the historical pattern and of inter-land migration, the recent ethnic cleansing, cultural rupture, and the resulting dialogue about identity and indignity among Solomon Islanders living abroad and at home via the internet. Given the importance of studying ethnic identity, culturation, and cultural orientation research and scholarship, the phenomenon is rapidly increasing.